Hello and welcome to Eye on Africa. I'm Clarisse Fortuné. Now the headlines. Ousted President Ali Bongo's wife charged with money laundering with two other ministers. Sylvia Bongo has been under house arrest in Gabon since the coup last month that put an end to 55 years of Bongo dynasty rule. Cleaning up illegal mining sites, Rwanda wants to attract investors with its huge reserves of lithium. But neighboring DRC says these mines are theirs. Once hidden ruins in the ancient city of Cyrene have been revealed as Libyan flood waters recede. The wife of Gabon's ousted President Ali Bongo Dimba and two former ministers have been charged with money laundering and other offences. Sylvia Bongo Valentin has been under house arrest in the capital since her husband was overthrown a month ago, moments after being proclaimed the winner in last presidential election. Laurent Berstecher explains.
Kept under house arrest since the August 30th military coup, Gabon's former First Lady Sylvia Bongo Ndimba Valentin was charged with multiple offences and remanded in custody.
Sylvia Bongo Ndimba Valentin appeared before the judge on Thursday, September 28th, and was charged with money laundering, handling stolen goods, forgery, and the use of forged documents.
The wife of ousted President Ali Bongo had been in the crosshairs of the military since they seized power last month. She and her son Noureddin are suspected of having manipulated Bongo after he suffered a stroke that sidelined him for months in 2018. The head of Gabon's transition, General Brice Oligui Nguema, recently accused them of falsifying the president's signature and giving orders in his stead. A dozen other former cabinet members and ministers have also been indicted for corruption and embezzlement. Ali Bongo, meanwhile, appears to have been cleared of all charges by the junta, which says he is free to move as he pleases. Earlier this month, Sylvia Bongo's lawyers filed a complaint in Paris denouncing her arbitrary arrest and placement under solitary confinement by the military.
Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, went to the polls today. More than 500,000 people were registered to choose members of the lower house of parliament. But whatever the result, King Mswati III will wield executive power. Political parties are banned. Some opposition members are either in jail or in exile. Tantassa Silolo is a spokesperson for the Swaziland Liberation Movement.
Let us sit down, let us talk to the issues, let us unbend political parties and let us have freedom in Swaziland. Then we will know that whosoever holds the power to be head of state or whatever, he has the mandate of the people, and when he does wrong, we're able to either send him to court or to withdraw him from that office through a vote of no confidence or anything else. But as things stand, you cannot challenge the king either legally or otherwise.
Today marks the one-year anniversary since the junta seized power in Burkina Faso. Hundreds of people rallied in Ouagadougou to show solidarity amid rumors of divisions within the armed forces and a possible counter-coup. On September 30th last year, Captain Ibrahim Traoré ousted the leader of another coup, Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, who had seized power 8 months earlier. And staying in Burkina Faso, two Ivorian gendarmes were arrested at the border last week. They were apprehended on a gold mining site which borders Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso, and since then transferred to Ouagadougou. According to the Ivorian authorities, discussions are underway to resolve this situation. Justy Badu explains.
According to Ivorian authorities, the village of Kwameyad, which is where these two gendarmes were arrested, is within the territory of Ivory Coast, even though the area along the border there is not clearly demarcated. After 10 days of silence, the Ivorian authorities have finally spoken, and the fact that these gendarmes were taken to Ouagadougou has raised even more concerns among onlookers. The government spokesperson who has been speaking about this, Amadou Coulibaly, said that there was no problem between the two countries, and as long as the conversations or the dialogue continued between the two of them, they do not expect this to be a problem. He said that this issue cannot be compared to the issue of the 49 Ivorian soldiers who were arrested in Mali for planning to oust the regime in that country. Those soldiers were accused of being mercenaries who were plotting to overthrow the Assimi Goïta regime. They were detained for 6 months until they were finally released from custody in that country. Since that incident, Ivory Coast has been very, very careful in terms of getting into another diplomatic banter with any of its other neighbors, not least a country like Burkina Faso, which it shares borders and with which it has been working to fight back terror groups that are taking hold in many parts of the sub-region. And since the new junta that took over in Burkina Faso came into power, these two countries have been trying to work together, and they do not expect that this new issue would be a stumbling block between what they've been working towards in the last few months.
A dozen soldiers were killed in an attack by Islamic extremists in western Niger. The soldiers were on a mission in the Tillabéri region town of Kandaji when hundreds of jihadis on motorcycles attacked them on Thursday. Now let's head to Rwanda, where the government is combating illegal mining in which hundreds of workers have lost their lives. Kigali wants to modernize the exploitation of those mining sites, but the UN and DRC are accusing Rwanda of stealing minerals. Clément Di Roma reports from the Rwandan hills.
Until a few months ago, this mine in the east of Rwanda was illegally operated. Workers removed and sold cassiterite, a mineral used widely in the metallurgical industry. A local company has recently acquired the concession.
We stopped working in this direction. They destroyed the mine. People working illegally don't take safety standards into account.
Over 400 miners have been killed in accidents since 2019. Authorities are cracking down on unlicensed mining and regulating the industry.
Those professional companies or technical companies that have come in legally and authorized by the government have put together and organized our local people, and those incidents that we used to have during illegal mining, like death and injuries and environmental degradation, is no longer there.
Rwanda is also banking on the modernization of its mines. The most advanced one, near the capital, is mostly funded by British investors. In 1 year, production of tungsten, a metal used in weaponry and new technologies, has quadrupled. James, a 16-year veteran of the mine, says the technical upgrades have had a huge impact on his community.
People, they are happy because of increased production. You bring the capex equipment. Now, even the salaries, it is times 10. It is not so easy to see the years before because it was in hardship.
Kigali hopes to exceed 1 billion euros in export in 2023 and attract new investors.
I think there's huge potential here. It's an unexplored country when it comes to mining. You know, people are focused on, the Congo, for example. But we need to get those investors to come here and focus on doing exploration drilling in Rwanda.
Rwanda has consistently denied accusations by Kinshasa and the UN of plundering Congolese deposits. Kigali has insisted that its own mineral reserves, valued at over 100 billion euros, are more than enough for its ambitions.
Libyan authorities are now holding 12 people as part of an inquiry into this month's flood that killed thousands. The city of Derna was the worst hit when Storm Daniel burst through 2 dams and washed entire neighborhoods into the Mediterranean. While assessing the damage, authorities came across hidden archaeological structures in an ancient Greek city. Camille Dedelec tells the story.
After so much loss, an unexpected gift. As the floodwaters that devastated Derna receded from the ancient Greek city of Cyrene, they revealed ruins that had been hidden beneath layers of earth and debris for centuries. Only just rediscovered, these structures are already in danger of being lost once more.
After the water and mud dried, some buildings and walls began to crack and deteriorate, and some of them collapsed.
Founded over 2,500 years ago, the city has Greek baths and many ancient temples, including sites dedicated to Apollo and Zeus. Libyan authorities have appealed to UNESCO for help to protect it from further damage.
After we recover from the effects of this disaster and the loss of people, We must also pay attention to the archaeological site, and a national committee composed of experts should be formed, so that these newly appeared archaeological monuments are classified, and a plan should be drawn up to rehabilitate the site.
But while time is running out to protect this ancient heritage, Libya is faced with a more immediate crisis. With over 11,000 people killed and many more still missing or homeless, the UN has warned that the flood-hit area could see an outbreak of waterborne diseases.
Now, if I tell you red kilts, bagpipes, you'll probably think about Scotland. Well, you would be wrong. Chukwu Kalu fell in love in Nigeria with the art of bagpipe music when he was just a teenager, and even founded his own band, a 24-member group that now performs at weddings and national events, charging near $400 per gig.
The vision moves beyond I, knowing about this as a person, to seeking a revival of this type of musical genre in Nigeria and in West Africa. We've been progressing gradually from 3-man band to 5, 8, 10, up to 24 as we speak. Civilians who have nothing doing, instead of engaging into crimes, that they should engage themselves into learning this special instrument, because this is a special instrument. I can tell you it's a special instrument, it is not common. Anybody who eventually learn how to play the bagpipe can never be hungry.
Well, I hear it's an acquired taste. Well, thank you for watching Eye on Africa. Stay with France 24 for more news.
The Lampedusa harbour, about 100 kilometres from the African coastlines, is the first port of call for those fleeing their countries. But the maritime crossing is dangerous and often deadly.
Questo scenario terrificante, almeno 200 persone in mare che chiedevano aiuto, fra di loro c'erano già dei cadaveri che galleggiavano.
Survivors try to rebuild their lives. On a continent struggling to accommodate them.
Poi riportarli indietro, aiutarli nel loro paese a sta gente, perché poveri disgraziati non cosa devono fare.
Lampedusa Revisited on France 24 and France24.com.